Have you ever wondered how scarcity of resources influences global conflicts? It's a question that might seem abstract, but it's a stark reality that has shaped the course of history time and again. The concept of resource scarcity is simple. When a valuable resource is limited, competition for its control can lead to conflict. It's a struggle as old as human civilization itself. Throughout history, these conflicts, often termed resource wars, have been ignited when a valuable resource is found in a contested area. From the lush oil fields of the Middle East to the diamond-rich territories of Africa, the lust for control over precious resources has sparked wars, rivalries, and unending conflicts. Whether it's oil, water, or rare minerals, the story remains the same. It's a tale of power, greed, and survival that has defined the fate of nations and the lives of millions. Let's delve into the annals of history and uncover how resource scarcity has ignited wars and conflicts around the globe. Our journey begins in the prehistoric era, where the first resource conflicts emerged. Picture this: early human societies, not unlike a game of survival, where the prize was not just victory, but life itself. These societies were in constant competition for scarce resources, with food and water being the most sought after. The hunt for sustenance was a daily struggle, and the scarcity of these resources often led to conflicts. Neighboring tribes would clash, their primitive weapons clashing in the struggle for survival. These skirmishes, though brutal, were a necessary evil as they ensured the survival of the fittest, the most resourceful. In the midst of this survival game, human societies began to evolve. They started to understand the importance of resources and the need to control them. This led to the development of agriculture, with societies beginning to grow their own food and domesticate animals. But even then, the struggle for resources did not end. As these societies grew and expanded, they began to encroach upon each other's territories. This led to conflicts, not just over food and water, but over land as well. The dawn of agriculture had not only brought about a revolution in the way humans lived, it had also birthed a new form of conflict: territorial disputes. These early conflicts laid the groundwork for the modern resource wars we see today. They taught us the importance of resources and the lengths to which we would go to secure them. Food and water, the most basic of resources, were replaced by precious metals, fossil fuels, and rare minerals. The stage had been set for a new era of conflict, one that would be driven not by the need for survival, but by the desire for wealth and power. The survival instinct, born out of scarcity, still persists today. It has been carried into our modern world, sparking conflicts over more complex resources. This instinct, coupled with our insatiable desire for wealth and power, has led to the dawn of resource conflicts. This survival instinct, fueled by scarcity, has been carried into our modern world, sparking conflicts over more complex resources. Fast forward to the 20th century, where one resource above all others has dominated conflict: oil. This viscous black substance, often referred to as liquid gold, has been the catalyst for numerous wars and skirmishes, a potent symbol of wealth, power, and geopolitical influence. Take a look at the Arab-Israeli War, for instance. Official narratives might lead you to believe it was solely a battle of ideologies, a clash between two peoples over ancestral lands. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that it was also a fight for control over the vast oil reserves nestled beneath the sandy dunes of the Middle East. Oil, the lifeblood of modern economies, was not just a prize to be won, but a strategic asset. Whoever controlled the oil could control the economies of oil-dependent nations, turning the taps on or off to wield influence, exert pressure, or even bring a country to its knees. Then there's the Iraq War, which brought the role of oil in conflicts into sharp focus. Despite the official reasons given for the invasion, many critics argue that the war was fundamentally about securing control over Iraq's vast oil reserves. These reserves, the second largest in the world, became a pawn in a larger geopolitical game as major powers vied for control over this precious resource. The result? A protracted war that claimed countless lives, tore societies apart, and left a nation in ruins. And these are just two examples. From the oil fields of Venezuela to the pipelines of the Caucasus, the story is the same. Oil sparks conflict, fuels wars, and reshapes the global order. These wars over liquid gold have shaped the political and economic landscape of the 20th and 21st centuries. They've redrawn borders, toppled governments, and rewritten the rules of international diplomacy. The lesson is clear. Where there's oil, there's often conflict. And as long as our world runs on oil, the the battles for this liquid gold are unlikely to end. But oil isn't the only resource inciting conflict. Water and rare minerals have also been at the heart of many disputes. Let's take a journey to Africa. The Sudanese Civil War, a conflict that spanned over 2 decades, had water scarcity as one of its many catalysts. The Nile, one of the world's longest rivers, became a bone of contention, with the north controlling most of its waters. The south, parched and thirsty, felt the sting of this inequity. The result? A brutal conflict that led to the loss of millions of lives. Now, let's shift our gaze to the Niger Delta, a region rich in rare minerals and oil. Here, the struggle was not for water but for the wealth beneath the earth. The Niger Delta is Nigeria's economic backbone, producing the bulk of its oil. Yet, the locals who live atop these riches are mired in poverty. The environmental cost of oil exploration has further strained their traditional livelihoods, leading to a surge in militancy and conflict. These are not isolated incidents. Around the world, water and mineral resources have been flashpoints of conflict. In the Himalayas, India and China have long sparred over water resources. In the South China Sea, a quest for oil and rare earth minerals has led to territorial disputes. These conflicts underscore the vital importance of these resources. Water is life. It sustains us, our crops, our livestock. Without it, societies cannot survive, let alone thrive. Rare minerals, on the other hand, power our modern world. They are in our phones, our computers, our cars. Their scarcity, coupled with their high demand, makes them a source of power and, consequently, conflict. As we move further into the 21st century, these conflicts are likely to intensify. Climate change is exacerbating water scarcity, and the demand for rare minerals is skyrocketing with the rise of technology. The scarcity of these vital resources continues to fuel conflict in many parts of the world. Now let's journey to the icy frontiers of the Arctic, where a new kind of resource conflict is unfolding. With the relentless march of global warming, the Arctic ice is melting, revealing vast deposits of oil and gas. These resources, once trapped beneath layers of ice, are now tantalizingly within reach, sparking territorial disputes among neighboring nations. Countries like Russia, Canada, the United States, Denmark and Norway are all staking their claims, each hoping to secure control over these newfound riches. The stakes are high, and the tensions are palpable. The Arctic, once a place of serene beauty and solitude, is now a hotbed of political maneuvering and strategic positioning. The United Nations is working to mediate these disputes, but the situation remains volatile. The Arctic is a stark reminder of how the pursuit of resources can spark conflict and tension, even in the most unlikely of places. As the ice melts, the fight for control over the Arctic's resources heats up. From the prehistoric era to the modern day, resource scarcity has been a persistent driver of global conflict. From the dawn of civilization, disputes over resources have shaped the course of our history. In the initial stages of human society, conflicts arose over basic necessities like food and water. As societies evolved and technology advanced, the nature of these resource conflicts changed. The advent of industrialization shifted the focus towards resources like coal and later, oil. The liquid gold, as it is often called, has been at the heart of numerous conflicts, with the struggle for control over oil reserves fueling wars and political tensions on a global scale. But oil is not the only resource that has sparked conflicts. Water, the most basic necessity for life, has also been a significant source of contention. In regions like Sudan and the Niger Delta, disputes over water and other resources have resulted in protracted civil wars, causing immense suffering and loss of life. Even minerals, vital for our modern technology, have not been exempt from this pattern of conflict. The scramble for rare minerals, needed for everything from smartphones to renewable energy technologies, has led to fierce competition and tensions between nations. In recent years, the Arctic has emerged as a new battleground for resource conflicts. As the ice caps melt due to climate change, previously inaccessible resources are becoming available, leading to territorial disputes and rising tensions in the region. These conflicts, driven by resource scarcity, are not isolated incidents. They represent a recurring pattern in our history, a pattern that continues to the present day. The resources in question may change, but the fundamental issue remains the same. Competition over scarce resources can and does lead to conflict. As we move forward, understanding the role of resource scarcity and conflict may help us navigate the complexities of our increasingly interconnected world. We must strive to manage our resources sustainably, to prevent future conflicts and ensure a peaceful and prosperous future for all.